The scripture is taken from James 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. And so ends the scripture. I personally love this scripture because we all can relate to being tested many times in our lives. The funny thing is that most of us don't see our ups and downs as being a test, and the hardships can be downright unbearable at times. But I'd like for you to stop for a moment and look back on those experiences. Look at the situation with fresh eyes and ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? The key is to see the experience from a different perspective. Try not to see yourself as a victim, because we have learned that there are no accidents, and everything we go through is a lesson to be learned. Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the book Conversations with God, says, there are no victims in the universe, only creators. The masters who have walked this planet all knew this, end quote. So I know what you may be thinking. Life can be a bear. But what I found is that if you look back on those difficult experiences, you can always see the lesson in it, which helps to promote our growth. Only if we choose to open our eyes and recognize it. Whether we know it or not, we are enrolled in the school of life to experience and create the gift of free will given to us by God. That's why we're here. Florence Scovel Shinn writes about this in one of my all-time favorite books. And those of you who know me, I've quoted this book quite a bit, The Game of Life and How to Play It. She says, and I quote, most people consider life to be a battle, but it is not a battle, it is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law and the Old and New Testaments, which give the rules of the game in wonderful clarity. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That means that whatever man sends out in word or deed will return to him. What he gives, he will receive. If he gives hate, he will receive hate. If he gives love, he will receive love. If he gives criticism, he will receive criticism. If he lies, he will be lied to. If he cheats, he will be cheated. End quote. So you see, a lot of our lessons and hardships are in reality brought on by the decisions and actions that we make throughout our lives. Nobody else made you do it. Oh, it wasn't because of them. We make our own decisions. So let's face it, God blessed us with the free will to live this life as we see fit, which means we are the ones who are in total control. The poem Invictus, one of my favorites, inspires us by declaring, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Jesus also taught us about faith in Mark 9:33 by saying, if you can believe, all things are possible to those who believe. So there is no reason why we can't defy the odds when they are against us and accomplish what at first glance seems to be impossible. Defying the odds and rising above obstacles reminds me of the story of the rise of the phoenix. And if some of you don't know about that story, it's basically an ancient Greek Egyptian mythology. The phoenix symbolizes the mythical bird that is burned and reduced to ashes. In time, up from those ashes, a fledgling phoenix rises, beautiful, renewed, and reborn. The phoenix is a reminder that with unwavering faith, you can rise because you have within you the fire and the wherewithal to triumph, to overcome, to heal, and to be new again. I personally can relate to this story because within the last year, I've lost my spouse of 21 years and my mother within 6 months of each other. And I can tell you there's nothing worse than losing the two people who not only gave me unconditional love, unwavering encouragement, but who both had a hand in molding me into the person I am today. The good news is that they are in my heart, they are in my soul, they are in my spirit, and that's what keeps me going. And truthfully speaking, I can admit that during that time, I experienced the full spectrum of grief. Because of my faith and my connection with God, I would not have realized that my life wasn't over, because it's easy to think that it is. Because I was reminded that now is my time to continue to live. As difficult as it may have been, I had to change my perspective on my life and accept this new normal of being on my own instead of the love of my life always being at my side. So I moved back home to California, and with the help and support of my loving family and my faith in God, I too rose like the phoenix from the ashes and found the strength and courage to pull myself up and move on. By listening to God's still small voice within, I was reminded that I have much more work ahead of me on this earth. And of course, I'm here with you today. But I don't want you to think that I'm the only one God speaks to, because God speaks to all of us constantly, all the time, always has, and always will. The great myth is that God only speaks to a certain chosen few, and that we would have to go to others outside of ourselves in order to receive God's wisdom or blessings. They say that prayer is talking to God, and meditation is listening to God. So during meditation, I talk to God, and then I quiet my mind and listen. So all we need to do is set aside a few minutes to quiet our minds, silence the inner chatter, and listen. Since we live in such troubling times, it's during those moments of fear, anger, or strife, those days when we are wallowing in the ashes, that we should call upon God for help and to seek the answers we need in order to overcome any problem. Remember, Jesus promised us when he said, "Ask, and it will be given. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you." In the book titled The Keys of the Kingdom, Elizabeth Clare Prophet wrote, "You have a unique spiritual destiny. One of the keys to fulfilling that destiny is recognizing that you have a divine nature and a direct relationship with God. You have a God within you, and you don't have to die or go to heaven to see or hear this higher self. It is diagrammed in the chart of your divine self, which is a portrait of you and the God within you," end quote. In my situation, I could easily have quit. I've heard stories about people who have survived a traumatic experience and they walk away wondering why they were the ones who survived. And because of this, they felt lost. No one would have blamed me if I just wanted to stay home alone and grieve. We have situations like mine every day, times when we give up and lose faith. But instead of grief, maybe there's a difficult situation at work with a boss or a coworker. Maybe your boss tells you, "Sorry to inform you, but you didn't get that promotion," or you lost your job. Or you could be facing an unexpected medical diagnosis or illness. Or at home, your husband, wife, or kids could be having challenges. Or maybe it's a financial issue. Life is always throwing us curveballs. I'd like to share a wonderful story that has inspired me. It's about an average guy who was a soldier in the war named Stamatis Meritis. He was born on the Mediterranean island of Icaria, Greece. In 1943, he came to the United States for treatment of his combat wounds. After his recovery, he settled in Florida. He met his wife, and they had 3 kids together. Years later, at the age of 66, he felt a shortness of breath, and upon x-rays was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and was given only about 9 months to live. So Stamatis had a decision to make. He could stay in America and seek aggressive cancer treatment at his local hospital, or return to his beloved town of Icaria in Greece. After a while, he and his wife decided that he should spend his last days around his family, living in the beautiful little town overlooking the Aegean Sea. So while he was there, slowly he started to move, to breathe in the cool, fresh air, to appreciate the clear blue water, to drink fresh wine as he reconnected with family and old childhood friends, and eating dinner consisting of fresh herbs and vegetables. While he was home, he also reconnected to his faith in God. He took naps during the day and walked around town to meet his friends. Within a few months, he started feeling like he was getting his strength back. Enough so that he decided to take up gardening and planting grapevines for a backyard vineyard. And as Stamatis waited to die, something remarkable happened. 1 year passed, then 10, and next thing you know, 3 decades later, he was still there, enjoying his family, cultivating a variety of fruits and vegetables, and tending to his grapes for the wine and olives for olive oil, all produced in his vineyard. When he was asked what his secret to longevity was, he simply shrugged his shoulders and said, "I don't know. I guess I just forgot to die." He did eventually die at the ripe old age of 98. Amazingly, 40 years after his original diagnosis, without taking any drugs or any chemotherapy. Despite being diagnosed with a terminal illness, Stamatis moved to his childhood home and rose from the ashes like the phoenix, new and reborn. I'd like to give you a few tips from Brian Tracy on how we can rise from above the ashes and find our life's purpose, especially during these challenging times. Number 1, develop a growth mindset. Having a growth mindset can lead you to finding a sense of purpose. Look towards ways to explore and fulfill your passions. Number 2, strengthen your connection with God. Make an effort to prioritize your devotion to God on a daily basis through prayer, meditation, reading, or listening to uplifting music or devotionals. Number 3, do service work. Service work is a great way to enhance gratitude and a positive outlook while supporting one's community and each other. Number 4, practice gratitude. Learn to appreciate your life, value, and send love to your body temple, your family and friends, your home, and all your possessions. Recognize and show God appreciation for all your many blessings in this life. Number 5, recognize self-fulfilling prophecies. Be wary of the story you tell yourself, as you may find yourself acting it out. For example, if a man who repeatedly tells himself, or a woman, that he is old when he looks in the mirror, will surely prematurely age himself. Such a mindset obscures the man's ability to see the many wonderful things he has to offer. And number 6, be a part of a community. Church is a community, so continue doing this. Be connected to others. Being connected to others will help in finding your purpose. Isolation and loneliness can lead to premature aging and or illness. This idea is beautifully articulated by the Serenity Prayer, which applies to all aspects of our life. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. So these are some of the things we all can do to rise above our circumstances. But most importantly, we must also remember who we truly are. We are one with God because we were made in his or her image, making us co-creators with the greatest creator of all time. This revelation makes us very powerful beings who are capable of overcoming any storm. We need to recognize that we were created to have, do, and be anything in this life, that we could do all things, not some things, all things through Christ who strengthens us. So in closing, we learned that we can rise from the ashes like the phoenix, beautiful, renewed, and reborn. But it begins with how we see things. What is your perspective? How are we playing this game of life? Are we wallowing in our sorrows? Or are we, with God's assistance, finding ways to overcome our trials and tribulations? I'd like to share with you a song that has helped to inspire and uplift me during my difficult times. It's called Optimistic, and it's by the Sounds of Blackness. And it goes, when in the midst of sorrow, you can't see up when looking down, a brighter day tomorrow will bring. You hear the voice of reason telling you this can't never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win. Face towards the sky and be optimistic. If things around you crumble, no, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and don't you look back. I know of storms and strife. I've been around them all my life. Just think ahead and you'll be inspired to reach higher and higher. You'll always do your best if you learn to say never. You may be down, but you're not out. Just be optimistic. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Face towards the sky and be optimistic. Don't you let nobody stop you. As long as you keep your head to the sky, be optimistic and you can win. As long as you keep your head to the sky and be optimistic, you can win. As long as you keep your head to the sky and be optimistic, you will win. And so it is. Namaste.